Siri gets AI, Apple Intelligence gets smarter, and the iPhone camera can now magically reframe a shot after it's been taken. These are just some of the big announcements from today's Apple event. Hello from Apple Park in Cupertino. Today, Tim Cook took the stage to open his last keynote as Apple CEO. This year's annual Worldwide Developers Conference was unlike any other I've attended. And trust me, I've been to a few. In some ways, it felt like part 2 of last year's event, like Apple had some unfinished business to take care of. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Want to know what's coming up in the world of Apple? Well, keep watching. Hi, I'm Michael Josh, your gadget matchmaker, and over the last decade, I've made it my mission to show people around the world that tech can be easy, fun, and exciting. On this channel, I get you special access to the events I attend, the places I go, the things that bring me joy, and all the interesting people I get to meet along the way. So if you're an Apple fan and want to know what's up, give this channel a like and subscribe, and I'll brief you on everything you need to know about Apple today. This is WWDC 2026 Rewind. This year's WWDC was a little bit different from previous years. Instead of spending time talking about each OS individually, meaning a separate section for macOS, iPadOS, watchOS, and so on, there were brief mentions peppered in here and there. But overall, the focus was on the new, smarter version of Siri and Apple Intelligence. That's what this video is going to be about, but first, here are some other announcements that I found interesting. Speed is a priority. Thanks to optimizations, iPhone and iPad apps launch 30% faster. New photos appear in your gallery up to 70% faster, and AirDrop is 80% faster. Faster is always good. The new version of macOS, macOS 27, will be called Golden Gate. Liquid Glass, last year's major design language, gets its own slider, so you can now control how much of the effect you get. As a Vision Pro user, whenever I'm at some cool place, I've made it a habit to take a panorama on my iPhone so that I can view them back on my Vision Pro. Now you can use your panoramas as an environment. Flyovers in Apple Maps get more detail. If you're sending both a large image and some text on iMessage, the text will go through first while the image uploads. And now there's a send indicator, so you know how long the upload is taking. Lastly, as a proud uncle and tech enabler, I'm happy to see that Apple has also rolled out a whole new suite of child safety features, including the ability to create a child account, time allowances, and more granular screen time controls. I'm sure there's a lot more to unpack, but these are the highlights from today's keynote. None of them are really wow features. More of them are practical quality of life improvements. Speaking of quality of life improvements, as a tech creator, I'm always on the lookout for devices that are easy to pack and would make travel much lighter. Like these ones from this video's sponsor, Ugreen. This is the new Ugreen Nexode Air 65-watt charger, and it's amazing how small it is. Around 74% smaller than typical 65-watt chargers. So it actually fits into my tech pouches without taking up that much space. Makes my suitcases lighter too. And despite the tiny size, it still supports global voltage input and delivers up to 65 watts of fast charging. So I can use this for all the devices I travel with. It can charge my MacBook Air from 0 to 55% in just 30 minutes, or my iPhone 17 Pro Max up to 68%. Apart from the compact size, I love that it comes in multiple colors with matching cables, lunar white, space gray, cosmic orange, and starlight blue. It's also got a textured finish that helps with grip while keeping fingerprints away. I'm also loving Ugreen's MagFlow Air power bank and have taken it on several trips with me the last few weeks. This one magnetically snaps onto the back of my iPhone for wireless charging, and the slim design makes it easy to carry around when I do need the top up. If you travel a lot, I highly recommend the Ugreen Nexode Air and the Ugreen MagFlow Air. Make sure to use my links to get 25% off. I'll put them in the description box below. Now back to our video. Siri was the big focus this year. You can now adjust Siri's voice from pace to expressivity, but more importantly, It's not just a smart assistant anymore, but an AI-powered tool. Hence the name Siri AI. It's got understanding of your personal context, broad world knowledge, and on-screen awareness. But first, let's talk about how it looks. Instead of that glowing outline of rainbow colors, it's now more discrete liquid glass. On the iPhone, it now lives in Dynamic Island. You swipe down to start a conversation. You could, for example, ask it to add photos to a shared album by just mentioning the place and people. Find out about a concert, how to get tickets, and set reminders so that you don't miss them. The new Siri is designed to have on-screen awareness, meaning it'll understand what's on your screen so that it can help you. On iPad OS and macOS, Siri is integrated into Spotlight. You know, command plus spacebar. Like when you need help building a makerspace in your shed, say you got quotes from different companies who can build it, Siri can put together a table, compare them, even when they're formatted differently. And finally, on Vision OS, it's a glowing orb that you can position anywhere in your space. Siri also now has a dedicated app like Claude and Gemini that uses iCloud to sync across all devices. So you can start a conversation on a Mac or an iPad and continue on your iPhone. There are also experiences for Apple Watch and Vision Pro. I am so happy about the Apple Watch part. Need more Apple Intelligence features on my Apple Watch. The interface on iOS looks like this, with each conversation displayed as individual thumbnails instead of just a column of text. On the iPhone, Siri is also built into the Camera app. Down here, the same place where you can select between photos and videos. So you can, for example, point your iPhone at food and look up nutrition information. Or, my favorite of the examples shown, the ability to split a bill straight from a receipt. One caveat is that it is US only, and it only works with Apple Cash and not Venmo. All of this is also available via a quick press on the camera control button. Visual intelligence used to be iPhone only. Now it's available on iPad, Mac, and Vision Pro. On Mac, you can invoke it with a keyboard shortcut, Command-Shift-Space. On iPad, it's built into the screenshot experience. And on Vision Pro, you can look at a web page or objects around you to learn more, like a pair of smart glasses. Now let's talk about Apple Intelligence. And the rumors were true. There is a partnership with Google's Gemini. The new, more proactive Apple Intelligence is built on Apple Foundation models, and these foundation models are based on Gemini models. It's not the same as Gemini. Now, don't worry, the Google partnership doesn't mean any of this runs on Google servers. In fact, all of it runs either on your iPhone locally or on Apple's own servers, which they call private cloud compute. So your data stays with Apple, but instead models that have been adopted for Apple. What I like more about this version of Apple Intelligence is that it's weaved in more finely into the experience. So while Image Playground is even better at generating images, now with photorealistic ones too, and writing tools are accessible from even more places, it's the smaller things that I appreciate the most. For example, if you're like me and have tons of tabs, Safari can now analyze and group them by topic. Another Safari feature is Notify Me is going to be so useful. You can set up an alert when something changes on a web page. Say you've been waiting for a registration to open up, or if you're online shopping and are just waiting for an item to come back in stock. The next one is one that I definitely need because I'm already getting those warnings already. The Passwords app will tell you when you have compromised passwords, but who has time to go to each individual website to change them? Well, Apple Intelligence can now act as an agent to do it all for you, including picking out and saving that new, more secure password. Messages get one-tap suggestions relevant to the conversation, like creating a reminder when someone texts you a to-do item, or if a friend asks you to send photos from your weekend trip. The next feature is called Call Contacts, and I already know it's one I'm going to be using a lot. If, for example, I call my airline about my flight, it will immediately bring up relevant information from my email, like my booking reference number, so that I don't have to dig it up. If you've got supported smart cameras, the Home app now uses Apple Intelligence to create more descriptive notifications. Here's one I really want to try. Have you always wanted to create a shortcut but have been intimidated by its programmer-like interface? Supposedly, all you have to do now is describe the shortcut you are trying to create. Last but definitely not least, the photo editing experience also gets an upgrade. If you're someone who's constantly taking photos and editing them on your iPhone, then you're gonna wanna watch this. Cleanup is even more powerful now, better at removing distractions and filling in empty spaces. Then there are two new tools. One is called Extend. Say you took a photo but want to zoom in a bit. Apple Intelligence can now extend the scene and fill in the missing pieces. We've seen this from other phone makers before, but what I haven't seen before is a feature called spatial reframing. Basically, it lets you recompose a photo after it's been taken, not just moving from left to right, but even the position a photo was taken. A more flattering angle is now a couple of taps away. I've got some good news and some bad news. Most of the updates are expected later this fall in time for the launch of the new iPhone. But Siri AI will land in beta a bit later this year, separate from the fall release. When it does launch, Siri AI will only be for devices set to English first, with other rollouts to follow. The good news is that iOS 27 device support is the same as last year. Overall, if I were to describe WWDC 2026, it would be about delivering on last year's unfulfilled promises. Now, the big question is, did Apple get the job done? Well, only time will tell. But what I can say is that the foundation, pun intended, is finally here, and it can only get better from here on out. And those were my favorite announcements from WWDC 2026. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so that you get notified as soon as we post new videos. Follow me on social for all the behind-the-scenes fun, travel, and fashion. And for news and updates, make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. Until the next video, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.